Now, Texas has some of the most relaxed gun laws in the entire country. But despite what a lot of people think, it's not an absolute free-for-all. There are still restrictions on who can carry, who can possess, and when they can carry. So let's talk about that to make sure that you know your rights when carrying a gun down here in Texas. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week and gearing up for a good weekend. You might notice I'm in a different spot today. That is because I'm in the middle of a federal jury trial and I have not had time to go back to the office. I'm here at my home office. This is where every Sunday, shameless plug, I do my live stream where you can swing by, watch me play some very poor video games, and then we can talk about any topic that you think is interesting, whether it's a question you have or just you want to chat or you want to celebrate something that you did during the week and you want to hear me hype you up because I'm an excellent hype man. I hope you can recognize that. So this week we're talking about Texas gun laws. Always an interesting topic, always something that kind of is controversial. But here's the thing. The Second Amendment exists, right? And that's not news to anybody. The Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms. Now, there are some out there that says that that's an unequivocal, unrestrainable, unalienable, this complete and absolute right. However, just like every other right that is given to us in the Constitution, it is subject to certain restrictions. Pretty much every right that you can think of, whether it's the right to free speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of the press, all of those have certain restrictions on them. Now, when the government wants to place a restriction on one of those rights, there's a very strict test that they have to follow and evaluate to determine if they can. But that's a topic for a different story. Maybe come by Sundays at 7:45 to Twitch and we can talk about it there. However, today we're talking about the First Amendment. Here in Texas, we have what's called constitutional carry, which means pretty much anybody can carry a gun at any time, so long as they're not a prohibited person. Well, it doesn't really mean that. I mean, it kind of does, but even with that, there are certain things that you need to be aware of if you're planning on carrying a gun in Texas. The first, to own, buy, or possess a handgun, you must be over 21 years of age. So if you're 18 to 21, you can possess a long gun. You can buy a long gun or a rifle, but you cannot buy or possess a handgun. So that's number one. Second is the places where you can carry are still restricted. There are certain places where no matter who you are, how old you are, you can't carry or possess a gun. There's a list of those places that you can find on our website over at whalenlawoffice.com. But basically, there are places like schools, like polling locations, government buildings, especially when there is an active government meeting or there is an open government session in progress. Any restaurant or area that derives more than 51% of its sales from the sale of alcohol, basically bars, clubs, those sort of types of things. Those locations will typically have a sign, or they have to have a sign on the outside of the entrance that show it is one of those locations and you're prohibited from carrying weapons on the premises. And likewise, any private residence or any private location, so any private store, privately owned business that has a sign on the outside that says you are not permitted to carry a firearm in here. So again, there are certain locations where even if you are otherwise permitted to carry, that you would not be able to carry. Okay, so that's number two. And number three, the thing to keep in mind is all of the normal prohibitions on who can and can't possess firearms still apply. Right? So if you're convicted of if you have been convicted of a felony, kind of tripped over my words there, if you've been convicted of a felony, you can't possess a firearm anywhere, no matter what state you're in, because that's what the federal law says. If you've been convicted of a misdemeanor involving family violence, you can't possess a firearm anywhere. It doesn't matter what the state law says. If you're under the auspices of a protective order, if you're the person that a protective order has been issued against, you can't possess a firearm. So there are also some legal issues that if those statuses apply to you, you can't possess a firearm. If you're under indictment or if there's a criminal case currently pending against you, if you're on deferred adjudication, those are all issues where you can't possess a firearm. So there are other reasons why somebody who otherwise would be able to possess a firearm now can't, right? Now they can't carry one. So those are some things that you need to really be aware of, because if you are not and you are caught carrying a weapon, you can be charged with a crime. In Texas, we call that UCW, the unlawful carrying of a weapon. You can get charged with that under state law. You can get charged, depending on the circumstances, with certain crimes on the federal side, right? So any of those 922 offenses, 922G is a felon that is found in possession of a firearm. So there are certain offenses that could apply if you're carrying a gun, carrying a handgun, that you thought was legal, but however, because those statuses apply, is not. So you need to be aware of those. Those are just things to be aware of, and stay on the right side of all of those issues so that you don't find yourself in trouble. Hope this was helpful. Hope this got a little bit of clarification out there. As always, if this is something that you want to talk about or discuss any further, Sundays, 7:45 p.m. Texas time over on Twitch. The link and the web address is down in the video description below. Swing by and we can talk about it. We can chat about it, and we can hang out over there. Until then, I really appreciate everybody swinging by. I hope everybody has a great weekend, a great week next week. And so I want you all to be good and stay on the right side of the bars.